Good morning, guys. Happy Monday. It is time to talk the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. And today we are going to be talking about why we never see Rick Hilton on our screens when it comes to the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. We know his wife is a friend of. His sister-in-law is a full-time housewife. We see his brother-in-law, Mauricio, all the time. So we need to talk about why we are not seeing Rick Hilton on the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. And then the second thing I kind of want to address is Kathy Hilton's Instagram. She's, posted some questionable posts about Lisa Rinna. Obviously, there's still friction there, and I think fans are loving it. However, forgetting that the reunion has already filmed. So all of this friction that we're seeing, we're not going to get a chance to see it be resolved, and we're not going to get a chance to see them go head to head unless they really went head to head at the reunion, which I highly doubt. Everyone is a little bit, Lisa Rinna is a lot more badass when she is behind her computer or her phone on Instagram. So before we get started though, guys, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, turn those notifications on. It's so important. The likes really help my video, and I'm definitely trying to grow my channel. So go ahead and subscribe. Okay, let's get started. First of all, why do we never see Rick Hilton on our screens? Why do we never see him film? His sister-in-law, brother-in-law, we see them film. We've seen the kids, but we've never seen Rick on the show, right? And we have to kind of talk also about the fact, were Kathy Hilton's children's reaction when she decided to join the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills? Okay, we're going to go back in history. We're going to talk a couple history lessons. So any other historians that were diligent Real Housewives of Beverly Hills watchers that want to comment and include any other information that I may have missed, please feel free to do so. But this is just going to be a brief summary of my perception of how everything went between Kathy and Kyle. Okay, so we know that when originally, when the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills was being created, when it was being born, it was going to be a story about three sisters, Kathy, Kim, and Kyle. They had always wanted to, well, I don't know if they had always wanted to, all three of them, but they had wanted to put some kind of reality project together, right? But Kathy Hilton ended up bailing. And some of you may have seen this and some of you may have not. And I was fortunate enough to. I don't know if it can be found on YouTube anymore, but there was a video of Kathy, Kim, and Kyle in Kathy's house, right? It's like a guy who's doing a documentary. He pulls up in the driveway and they're playing that Beverly Hills song. And they're feeding the homeless. They go into Kathy's kitchen, they're making sandwiches, and they're bagging up these lunches they're going to take out and give to the homeless in LA. And they show conversation between Kathy and Kyle about, this specific homeless woman outside of Rite Aid that her and Rick see all the time. And the Hilton doctor is working on the mental health end of, helping the homeless in the LA area. So it was basically a documentary showing Kyle, Kim, and Kathy making homemade lunch bags to take out into LA and to distribute it. And then they do that. The camera films them. They go out and they talk to this homeless woman. And they give her food and she cries. And it was probably from I would say the early 2000s, 2004 maybe. I don't know if it can be found on YouTube anymore. But regardless, that corroborates the story that originally, before Beverly Hills was a Real Housewives, it was going to be a show about Kathy, Kim, and Kyle, the three sisters. And that's how it ended up that Kim was on the show. So it just ended up being Kim and Kyle and not Kathy, right? Because we know Kathy didn't want to work. She didn't have to work. People that don't have to work don't have to work. When you film, you still have to be somewhere. You still have to schedule these types of things. And Kathy doesn't have to do that. And Kyle, if you guys remember, and it's so funny because Kelly Dodd corroborated this as well, and you can go back and watch the first couple of seasons, Kyle and Mauricio did not have money when they first started the show. They were shopping at Target just like the rest of us, okay? They had a very modest home for Beverly Hills, and Mauricio was working for Rick at Highland real estate basically is what they were doing, right? Rick kind of took Mauricio under his wing. Mauricio got his real estate license and he started working for Rick. Now, this gets important because this all goes bad eventually. And it goes bad while Kyle is filming, right? It goes bad, I don't know, maybe a year before her niece Nikki's wedding. And what happens is after Mauricio has been working with Rick, Mauricio alleges that Rick basically capped him. He couldn't make any more money. He wouldn't let him become a partner. And Mauricio was feeling like, Rick was kind of keeping them in a certain bracket of, money that he was able to make. And basically it was like kind of their control over Kyle and Mauricio, like making sure they had enough money, to be comfortable, but not to be like 80 million comfortable like they are now. And you can Google this, but Kyle and Mauricio's net worth has literally doubled every single year since she's been on the show. It's insane if you look at it. Anyways, Mauricio was feeling like he wasn't going to be able to get any higher in the company, and Rick wasn't helping him, and so therefore he privately went and created the agency. I forgot to tell everyone, everything in this video is of course alleged. Allegedly, he went out and created this company, the agency, and he gave Rick no warning. He quit via an email that he emailed Rick, okay? And he also took other realtors with him when he left. Let that sink into you guys, okay? So sink that in a little bit. You have a sister-in-law or a brother-in-law that works for you. You're very wealthy. You have a nice big company. Was Rick capping him on how much he could make, or was Mauricio not able to make the moves that he makes when he owns a company? Because let us not forget that allegedly there is a lawsuit filed against Mauricio over a Malibu mansion that he allegedly, it had been confiscated by another country because the owner was in jail or in prison. And so Mauricio basically had another friend named Mauricio buy the property from the government for $15 million, and then he waited a year and sold it for like, I don't know, $34 million or something wild. I don't know the numbers, so don't come at me in the comments, but it's millions and millions and millions of dollars. And they actually filmed in that mansion in Malibu, the one that is up for question in this lawsuit that Mauricio was hit with a couple of years ago. So Mauricio would have made millions off of that deal alone, and that is wild just to think about. So they have doubled their net worth every single year. And Mauricio, like I said, guys, put yourself in a predicament where either your brother-in-law caps you can't make any more money because you think he doesn't want to see you do good in life. So you, in return, start a company behind his back, though, which is where we kind of get like, if Mauricio was like, you know what, I quit, I'm going to go start a company, blase skip, right? But to hide it, start an entire company, leave via an email, and also take agents with you, that's kind of a crappy thing to do, right? And this is what snowballs into them not being invited to Nikki Hilton's wedding, which took place in London, I think. If you guys remember, eventually they did invite Kyle and only the oldest daughter, Farah, who is not related to Mauricio by blood. So Mauricio and his daughters were not invited to Nikki's wedding, but Kyle and Farah were. We see a little bit of this play out on the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills because let us not forget that Lisa Vanderpump is very much friends with Kathy Hilton, okay? Very, very, very much friends with Kathy Hilton. And if you guys remember the trip where they go to Italy and Mauricio is driving around the Ferrari, whatever. I just remember that. They have this house. I don't want to say Tuscany. It's somewhere in Italy. She has, her whole family there, and they invite Lisa and Ken who come, and they have this big dinner at the house. And Lisa Vanderpump, being who Lisa Vanderpump is, she brings up the wedding, and it's at the dinner table in front of all of the girls and in front of Mauricio and in front of Ken. And one of the girls, I think Alexia, kind of gives Lisa Vanderpump some attitude about it. And I think that behind the scenes, Kyle was upset that it was brought up, even though that would be something that we know they tell each other, please, bring this up on purpose so we can talk about it. But in that situation, it seemed like Vanderpump was kind of pressing for information, and Kyle was not happy that she was having to discuss it, is what I got from it. There was also an issue with a dress, and Kyle claimed to be very close with Nikki. And so she was very upset and devastated that she wasn't or was uninvited to the wedding, if you will. But in the meantime of all of this, we got to get back to Rick Hilton, okay? in all of this transpiring, right, when they're trying to, after Nikki's wedding, and they're trying to reconcile their family, the show is like a spot of, tension in their family, right? Between Kathy and Kyle, the show. Not only American Girl, but also the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Because let us not forget that during this time period, Kyle was writing a screenplay called American Girl, and it was based on her childhood with her two sisters and a single mom raising them in Hollywood. And we all know the history about Big Kathy. If you don't, I've talked about it in my previous videos. We can talk about it again in a separate video, but we know that she possibly had a problem with alcohol. And so there was a scene that opens up where I think it was Alicia Silverstone who was going to play their mother, and she's like in the pool drunk, and she has like a empty bottle on her toe. And we even see Kathy talk about this same exact scene to Kyle, saying like, I didn't like the light that it was showing our mother in. And her and Kyle kind of, they don't bicker, but they kind of do. You can still see that it's causing tension, even when they still talk about it to this day, because Kathy felt like Kyle was basically outing their dirty laundry for a screenplay for money, and Kathy didn't like that. They felt like they didn't, Kim either, she didn't like it either. She didn't want Kyle doing it. They didn't like the way it put their family in the sort of light that it did. And so that was also contention. But good thing for Kathy is it only aired one season, and then it was cut. So it didn't make the cut, which definitely helped their relationship as well. But in this time period, there must have been talks about Kyle quitting the show in order to kind of reconcile her relationship with her sister. Sorry guys for this wind, this wind today, my goodness. Anyway, guys, there must have been talk of Kyle quitting the show, whether it was Kathy wanted her to quit the show, if it was the kids. We don't know who wanted her to actually quit the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, but TMZ catches Rick Hilton. This is T, guys. You probably can go back and find this. TMZ catches Rick Hilton outside LAX one day, and he's getting his luggage himself. He's by himself, and they ask him about Kyle and the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, and he replies to them, she's not working with the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills anymore. She's quitting. And the cameraman's like, oh, we know that there were rumors, but, nothing's confirmed yet. Are you confirming? And, what's going on? And Rick basically replied in so many words that Kyle's not going to be doing the show anymore. Like, she loves her family. She chooses her family over the show and over Bravo. And we all know, guys, that Kyle didn't quit the show that next season. She came back. So I think that probably left a bad sting, because they were, honestly, Rick seemed to 1000% believe that Kyle had already quit the show. She was quitting the show. She wouldn't be filming anymore. So I believe that Rick and Kathy, 1000%, even possibly their children, thought that Kyle was going to go ahead and back away from the show, because Mauricio was making amazing money anyways. She didn't really necessarily need the show, and it would save her family and her sister's relationship, allegedly. And so to put all of the pieces together, when Kathy joined the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, if you guys remember, there was a little bit of an interview where they sit down with Paris and Nikki, and basically Paris and Nikki say that Kathy did not tell them that she was even considering the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. She didn't even tell them she was considering it until after she had already signed. I think she was like 2 weeks away from filming, and then she told the girls. And the girls were not happy. So we have to kind of wonder why. Why would she not, lie, but also sort of hide that she was in, the works of a contract with Bravo to be on the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. So she doesn't tell her daughters, obviously, because she knows that they are upset, that they aren't going to like that. They don't want her on the show. So is it the same scenario with Kyle? Do their daughters not want her on the show? Like, do they feel like it brings stress and friction to the relationship? Probably. And now, the first year that Kathy filmed, everything was hunky-dory. But now that things are getting a little bit, same exact thing with Kim, kind of. Now things are getting tight. Things are getting, sticky. Kyle doesn't want to be in the sticky situation. She doesn't want to be in the middle. She's not going to roll with Kathy. She's not going to stick up for her, guys. I just don't think that she is. And then the last thing that we have to consider in all of this is that Kathy's posting on her Instagram, like, basically, you know, Lisa Rinna hate. I don't want to say hate, but, you know, funny memes of Lisa Rinna and her lips. I mean, it's all in good fun, really. Truly, it probably is. But it does seem like there's some tension between the ladies. And I just want to remind everyone, like, I feel like we're getting pumped up, like, thinking that we're going to get, like, a great reunion from Kathy and Lisa because look at the way they're fighting on Instagram. But we have to be mindful that the reunion has already been filmed. That they filmed the reunion before they aired like the last 3 to 4 episodes. That's sketchy ATF, guys. That's so sketchy. And they say that it's legal, and they say that Kathy Hilton sent cease and desist. I don't know if she did or not, but that was the word on the curb, okay? The ladies couldn't even discuss the last 4 episodes because they didn't know how the edit was going to go. So all this tension that we're seeing between Kathy and Lisa, we may never see it come to head. We may never see them, you know. I mean, I don't know. I don't see both of them coming back next season. But I want to know what you guys think. That's what's most important, guys. Make sure you leave your comments below. What do you guys think is going to happen to the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills? Who do you think they're going to let go of? I do think Diana's gone. We haven't even really been hearing much from her on the Instagram. Not like we were. And also wanted to make a correction that is not her husband. That is her baby daddy. Asher is her baby daddy, not her husband. I'm sorry about that. I did mess that up in my last video. Also, shout out to Mike and Allie in Puerto Rico and Terry. And I hope that all of you guys have a great day. So make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, and let me know what your guys' opinions are for the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Bye, guys.